is being temporarily blocked by the judge. The president are needed to restore law and order as a war-ravaged city. Gaza subject of
on this kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's great to be back and making my way closer back to home. Vince can be back there again tonight, and then back in studio in the typical KKCI Morning Blitz studio coming up on Tuesday. So once again, I apologize if there's any type of some delay or some lag. We are broadcasting remotely, and no offense, I love my parents' house, love the house I grew up in, but fiber hasn't gotten here yet. So we're still trying to kind of work our way through some interesting internet times out here in South Central Nebraska. But another way, glad that you're with us. Appreciate you tuning in. Once again, thoughts and comments are welcome throughout the show, whether it's the FB Bank text line or the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Once again, flying solo today with no Connor Schuh. We got a lot to get to here in segment number one. I apologize for the little bit of a delayed start. Had once again, some minor technical issues, kind of working our way through that, but we are off and rolling, and no better way to get our week started than with the typical weekend winners and losers.
There are two kinds of people in this world.
There's winners and there's losers.
Which ones were which this past weekend?
I want winners. Loser? You're a loser.
It's the weekend's winners and losers on the Morning Blitz.
Want to be a winner, be a winner.
So going with weekend winners to get things going here on this Monday. We will get to Michael's winner in just a little bit because his winner of the weekend also was one that I had. So we'll get to that in just a bit. I want to start on the local sports side of things. Once again, the fantastic 2025 volleyball season continued for the Oakley Lady Plainsmen, my first winner of the weekend. Shout out to those ladies. They win their own home invitational and remain unbeaten on the season. I'm sure listener Craig will chime in with the accurate record. It's got to be, probably what, 27, 28, no, somewhere in that range. How good they have been. They remain unbeaten. And I think the stat that probably blew my mind, they win their own home invitational. They were able to sweep Shiloh in the title match to get the victory there at their own home invite there in Oakley. But I think the thing is that they only dropped one set the entire weekend this past week. I mean, they have just been purely dominant against anybody that they have faced so far this season. It has truly been impressive to watch these ladies do their work on the volleyball court and to hear about them and to read about them. It's been impressive. So the Oak Lady Plainsmen winning their own invitational, getting a sweep in the title match, and once again, only dropping a single set. Their dominance has just been amazing here this entire 2025 volleyball season. I mean, the funny thing is they've had such a great year, yet I still think they're like the number 2 team in their regional, behind Ellenwood, who's unbeaten. They haven't lost a single match either. So 2 really, really good teams in that one regional, which, by the way, we're getting closer and closer to kind of postseason volleyball here. This upcoming Saturday is going to be start of like league tournaments. And then, kind of the week after that, we get diving into to regional play and all that. So I look forward to seeing how Oakley and a lot of other area teams will do in the postseason because they've had some pretty darn good regular seasons. Sticking in volleyball, a couple of the teams that had some really good weekends. Goodland with a great finish. They went 4-1 down in Scott City at the Scott tournament. They ended up finishing in 3rd place, so didn't make it to the title match, but still found a way to finish in 3rd. I saw a picture of the group, and they had all the key pieces there, but it didn't look like it was much of a roster because I think they had another tournament that was going on somewhere else. But Cowgirls with a great showing, 4-1 this past weekend at the Scott City tournament. They continue to have a great year. I think they're up with like 19-5 or something like that, 19-4. They're having a phenomenal year as well. Such a great bounce back year after the struggles they had just a season ago. And then at the Oberlin Invite, Rollins County was swept in the title match. They made it to the championship match, but was swept by Dundee County Stratton. Decatur Committee, the host, was able to finish in 3rd. They beat Hoxie in straight sets at the Oberlin Invite. So it was a busy tournament weekend for a lot of area volleyball teams and some really good showings there. Also, Colby Community College volleyball, a win in 5 sets over Garden City on Saturday. The 11th ranked Trojans now 17-4 overall, 9-0 in the Jayhawk. They're having a really, really good. They continue to have a fantastic season with their 4 losses, I believe, coming to all ranked foes, not in their own conference. So really great season for Coach Jones and Colby Community College volleyball, which we'll hope to maybe get her on this week. If not this week, for sure next week. I know I've got another guest lined up, I think, coming up later on this week to talk some high school volleyball here on the program. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. So first winners of the weekend, Oakley volleyball, but really pretty good showing for a lot of area teams at some tournaments this past weekend. Moving on, next winner of the weekend. Well, we will get to. That's where we will get to our good friend and devoted listener, Michael, who chimed in with his first winners of the weekend. He said, quote, "The Cardiac Kids, Denver Broncos got a close one to go our way. Go Broncos." That's what he says on his winners of the weekend. I do have the Denver Broncos as a winner of the weekend, knocking off the unbeaten Philadelphia Eagles on the road. It was, if you didn't watch the game, you missed out. I mean, here's the thing. If you turned it on and watched the first 3 quarters, you're probably like, this thing's over. They were down 17-3 going into the fourth quarter, but all of a sudden, don't know what happened to Bo Nix, but all of a sudden he found his quarterback groove and took his team from being down 17-3 to charge all the way back and get the win. Just a very, very impressive showing there from the Denver Broncos. The final score, by the way, 21-17. Bo Nix finishing 24 of 39 for 242 and a touchdown. Did not have a pick. J.K. Dobbins was 79 rushing yards on the ground with a touchdown in there. Evan Ingram had his first receiving touchdown as a Bronco. Shout out to my fantasy team for some points there. But down 17-3 going into the fourth quarter, Nix led the Broncos on 3 scoring drives on 3 possessions. He completed 9 of 10 passes for 126 and that touchdown pass at Evan Ingram of 11 yards to stun the Eagles in just over the final 15 minutes. So it was not pretty. I mean, offensively, it was not pretty. I mean, defensively, if you're the Broncos, I think you got to feel decent about holding a pretty good offensive. I don't know. It should be a good offensive team, right? The Eagles should be a good offensive team. But they have really had their struggles, particularly in the run game. They were held to just 45 yards rushing. I mean, what a job well done by the Broncos to limit Saquon Barkley to 30 yards. But Philadelphia didn't try to run the ball. I mean, they didn't. They had 11 attempts rushing. 11. You're not going to get it done. Credit to Sean Payton and that Broncos offense kind of keeping the ball away from Philadelphia, too, limiting those possessions. I mean, Jalen Hurts did have 2 touchdown passes and 280 yards, or 257 with sack-adjusted yards. But, yeah, it blows my mind that the Eagles' offense is not more potent, and it should be. And that's in general, not just against the Broncos. The Broncos, as we know, have a very, very good defense and a really, really tough team to knock off defensively. But this game going in, I think we knew that it was going to be a tough one for both offenses because both teams' defenses are very, very good. Just give credit to Sean Payton and everyone there on what they did to get that win, because that was a challenge. That was a challenge, and to pull it out in the fourth quarter, that was amazing. And I think they were talking about post game about how it was a signature road win for the Denver Broncos. And I saw a ridiculous stat. I think in the history of the franchise, the Broncos were 1-112 in going into the fourth quarter down 2 scores, down 2 scores. They were 1-112. They pick up just their second win ever, being down 2 scores going into the fourth quarter, and they do it against the mighty Eagles, handing them their first loss of the season. In fact, there's no more unbeaten teams in the NFL. Every team now at least has a loss, as the Bills lost to the Patriots yesterday. So really late. It was late last night, I should say, but lose the Patriots, and what a performance that was from the Pats over the Bills, knocking off Josh Allen. So no more unbeaten teams in the NFL, and the Broncos have a very big hand in that with their come-from-behind win, outscoring Philadelphia 18-0 in the fourth quarter, coming back to win 21-17. The Denver Broncos, a winner of the weekend. And then I have one more quick winner of the weekend before we get to losers. This to me, I don't know why, but this I don't know what it was. If it was a cool story, but everyone's going to, probably the biggest upset of college football on Saturday was UCLA over Penn State. And so, UCLA was 0-4. They had played absolutely horrific most of this season. To be completely honest with you, they had been so bad. Offensively, defensively, they were bad. And They fire the head coach, they fire the defensive coordinator, they fire the offensive coordinator, they make all these changes. And the guy who gets stuck calling the plays is a guy that, if you know college football well, I should say is a young man as the son of a former college football coach at UCLA. At one point in time, he was also at Colorado. But Rick Neuheisel's son, Jerry, who was the wide receivers coach and has been a lifer at UCLA. He went there to college. He was a quarterback. He helped them win a bowl game. He was carried off the field at that bowl game. He came back as a GA after some time at some other spots, and then he was the wide receivers coach this year. And Jerry Neuheisel now was promoted to play caller, and you've got to go back and watch some of these videos of him in his press conference talking about, the week that was. I mean, he was given the play caller duties, I think 3 days before the game. 3 days before the game, he was given the play calling duties, and they said, "Okay, Jerry, you're going to take over and call plays." He had never called plays before in his life. Had never done it. He had his own idea on some things he wanted to install. Wanted to change a few things up. He does all that in just a couple of days and leads them into the upset of the season this point, UCLA knocking out UCLA. I mean, just absolutely crazy. 42-37, by the way, the final score for that. But it's amazing. And then to see he gets the Gatorade bath. He gets carried off the field. This is the offensive coordinator, by the way. So just a cool story, and to see his dad, who of course works for CBS Sports. He also has a show on SiriusXM Radio, which is really good. But to see his dad in the studio cheering on his son, I mean, he apologized to Penn State fans. He said, "I'm sorry, I have the Bruin colored glasses on today, but you can understand why my son is out there calling plays and having great success." I mean, it was such a cool deal. And to see him, Jerry Neuheisel, in the post-game presser, that guy, it's still a lot of season left. Don't get me wrong. There's a long way to go. But that guy deserves a chance to interview for this job. I mean, he loves UCLA, and there's probably not a lot of coaches out there that love UCLA. I mean, I think Rick Neuheisel does, because I think he went to college there. But it was just so cool to see. And then he looks just like his dad. He talks like his dad. It's kind of odd and weird all at the same time, but really a cool story. When you see that, I was just I was so fascinated by that late Saturday night. I got done with the wedding that I was at, and I was laying in bed about to go to sleep. I just kept watching all these short videos, these reels of Jerry Neuheisel talking to the media and the players, how they reacted. It was such a cool story, and how his dad was reacting. It was such a neat story. So the winner of the weekend is the Neuheisel family, led by son Jerry and his dad Rick. The story and the combinations and the parallel lives and all, it's so unique. So Jerry and Rick Neuheisel, winners of the weekend from yours truly. Okay, we're moving on here. We've only got a couple minutes left. We've got to get to weekend losers. Unfortunately, the Kansas State football team, a loser of the weekend. Look, a loss is a loss. I mean, a loss is a loss. And for Kansas State, they've had their losses this year. They lose to Baylor on Saturday. But and it's one thing to go down to Baylor and lose a game, a competitive game. It's one thing to lose that. They lose 35-34, but it's one thing to lose a game when you're up 2 scores in the fourth quarter. What did I write down here? How much time did they have? I wrote this down. They led by 14 with 9 minutes left to go in the ball game and still found a way to lose. Now, what happened was, Avery Johnson made a very, very poor decision, throwing the ball lackadaisically over the middle of the field, got pick-sixed. You can't do that. Give credit to Kansas State, though. They even though they gave up another touchdown to surrender the lead, and the 2-point gave up that touchdown to surrender the lead. They still found a way to get it themselves in field goal position, where it was then blocked at the gun to get the win for Baylor. So heartbreak for the Wildcats. Had a 14-point lead with 9 minutes left, and this to me kind of goes back to, I think, what Kansas State is lacking at this point in time. If you want my honest opinion, Kansas State is lacking in one major area that they have been known for a long time. And I want to make sure I get this stat right. Well, I take that back. I guess they were better than I thought, but Avery Johnson ran 10 times for 72 yards. Great. Got to have that. Had a touchdown. Awesome. Joe Jackson ran for 61 yards. Dylan Edwards ran for 26 yards and a touchdown. So they did run the ball. But when you get in those situations and you get outscored 18-3 in the fourth quarter and you lose and you had the lead, you got to be able to run the football. You got to be able to do that. But turnovers certainly do not help. And that pick six, the statistic, I don't even know it, but it's a ridiculous one. Like anytime a team throws in a pick six, their chances of winning are just exponentially just dropped down. So tough loss for Kansas State. Losers of the weekend, though, no doubt about it, in a 35-34 loss. Once again, had a chance to win it if they could get the field goal, but it was blocked there as the gun sounded. And that was, again, the Wildcats with a 35-34 loss. Really now 2-4 overall, 1-2 in the Big 12. So tough losers there for K-State football. And one more loser before we get to a break, and Nick Athen will join us coming up here in just a matter of moments. But the New York Yankees, loser of the weekend. I don't feel bad about it, but the Yankees are losers of the weekend. They are down 2-0 to the Blue Jays in that series. And here's the thing. If you lose a couple of games and you're down 2-0 in a series or 0-2 in a series, if you're down that, so be it. That's part of the deal. But to lose the way that the Yankees have lost so far in this series to the Blue Jays, they have been outscored 23-8 through these two games, down to 0-2. 23-8, they've been outscored. And Toronto has hit 8 home runs against Yankee pitching through the first 2 games. Like you're not just losing. It'd be different. You're getting walked off. You're losing a 5-3, a 4-3, a 2-1 type game, whatever. You're getting blown out of the water is what's happening. You're getting blown out of the water through these first 2 games are the Yankees by the Blue Jays. Now, nothing against the Blue Jays. They're a good team. They've got great players. I'm not trying to say they're a bad team, and it's a shocker. But, I mean, it's one thing to lose. It's nothing to completely get your doors blown off in baseball in the postseason. Those scores you don't see unless, it's the Rockies playing, the Dodgers on a Sunday afternoon or something like that. That's when you see those scores, not in the second round of the playoffs with the Yankees and the Blue Jays vying to continue on their seasons. 23-8, they've been outscored, have the Yankees by the Blue Jays, and Toronto's hit 8 home runs through 2 games. Yeah, rough. Also, one more quick loser, Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick, just the stat, outscored 120-33 in 3 games against Power 4 competition. His team has been non-competitive against any school that is kind of within his division, his size. He's got a couple wins, but they're against like Richmond and Charlotte, for crying out loud. Against schools that are his caliber, the ACC, all that stuff, outscored 120-33. It has been a rough first year for Bill Belichick, and a lot of fans in North Carolina are not happy. All right, that'll do it for segment number 1. We will take our first time out. When we get back, we're going to be joined by our good friend Nick Athen. He will join us from ChiefsBlitz.com, and we'll discuss the NFL and what to expect from the Chiefs here tonight on Monday Night Football. It's all coming up. Plenty to get to here on a Monday edition of the Morning Blitz.
Ag families for generations, because we believe farming isn't just a job, it's a legacy. Whether you're just starting out or expanding your operation, F&B Bank has flexible lending solutions designed for you. This is Loan Officer Kennedy Frank at F&B Bank. We're proud to be your hometown ag lender, member FDIC.
Looking for insurance that actually puts you first? At the insurance agency in downtown Goodland, we're independent, which means we work for you. Whether it's auto, home, crop, or business, we shop top carriers to get you the best coverage at the best price. No pushy sales, just honest advice from people who live right here in your community. Give us a call today at 785-899-5011 or stop by 1020 in Goodland and let's get you covered. The insurance agency. Insurance the way it should be.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
This is Austin Wright with the Anderson's Trade Group and your morning market update. It is October 6th. These corn, 418 3/4. March 26 corn, 435 3/4. May 26 corn, 445 1/4. December KC wheat, 499. March 26 KC wheat, 520 1/4. May 26 KC wheat, 534.5. November soybeans, 1020. January 26 soybeans, 1038 3/4. March 26 soybeans, 1054 1/4. Dow Jones futures are currently up 77 points at 47,108. S&P 500 futures are currently up 19 points at 6,783. NASDAQ futures are currently up 204 points at 25,196. Gold futures are currently up $51.80 at 3,960. Crude is currently up 57 cents at 61.45. For your grain marketing needs or more information on our freedom pricing tools, you can reach the Kansas City office, Jared Law, Tyler Ghosh, Tom Saludo at 913-748-3000. In Colorado, John Haynes and John Stiles, 970-744-4484.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble.
When you're an expert on soil and crops, you're a soil scientist. When you're an expert on the weather, you're a meteorologist. And when you're an expert on soybeans, you are an Asgrow farmer. Like you, Asgrow brand is relentlessly focused on soybeans, with localized products featuring leading genetics and weed management systems. It all works together to give you maximum profit potential. Visit Asgrow.com. It's all about the beans. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices. For some farmers, soybeans are on their mind 24/7. If you're all about the beans, then Asgrow brand is all about you. That's why we've dedicated ourselves to developing truly localized products. Products with leading genetics and top-tier weed management. Products that maximize the profit potential on every acre you've got. You're serious about soybeans, and we're serious about your success. Visit Asgrow.com. It's all about beans. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices.
It's the Morning Blitz.
We're having a great time, couple of laughs, everything's nice.
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central.
Rolling along here on a Monday morning. Glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. A couple more thoughts from the EpiBank text line real quickly. Michael talking about his Denver Broncos says they have a shot to be 8-2 when they meet up with Kansas City at Mile High. Yeah, you have a shot. We'll see if they get that done, Michael. Everyone's got a shot to win every game. If they can get it done is the key. And Brian driving in his winner the weekend, Patriots, for giving the Bills their first loss. His loser of the weekend, Brian's fantasy team. So thank you, Brian. Appreciate that here on the Morning Blitz. All right, let's get to our guest of the day. We're pleased to welcome into the program. He's our good friend, Nick Athen, who joins us now on the Hurdle Chevrolet GMC video stream. Good morning, Nick. How we doing today, buddy? Great to see you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. You're in, man.
All right, I'm in. It's Monday morning, isn't it? Crazy weekend. Props to my Kansas Jayhawks for a terrific comeback win. Props to Bill Self for getting 4 recruits in 1 week. and the perfect losses of the weekend in the NFL. It's a great Monday morning.
I got to start. I want to actually stick to your Jayhawks there for a second. What are your thoughts of this year, the bounce bowl for Coach Leipold?
Well, this is what I think about Coach Leipold. I think he's a great builder. He can build a program. I'm not convinced he can build a championship team and be competitive every year. I think you saw that, had they beaten Cincinnati, and they should have, clearly. They should have beaten Missouri probably. But you got to win big games. I thought his second half, whatever he said in the locker room Saturday night, had to have been epic, because that's the best Kansas has looked defensively all season long. And offensively, Daniels is he's at another level right now. But 6 years in a program, you should be really good. But I think this week, going at Texas Tech, if Leipold can get his signature victory, and that's what this would be, then I think he can take this team to be, have a really good bowl game this year. I'm not sure he can win the Big 12, but I'm cautiously optimistic based on what I saw in the second half. But let's be honest, Texas Tech they're rolling offense, defense, special teams. They're clearly the best team in the conference. Iowa State, what a terrible performance over the weekend. I'm excited about this game. It means more to Kansas than it does to Tech. And if somehow the Jayhawks win this game, then I think my stance on Lance Leipold is going to change a little bit.
I'm just curious to see what he does when Jalen Daniels isn't there. I've been fascinated to see what Kansas does when Daniels
Marshall's
isn't there.
Really good. Marshall's really good. He's a really good young quarterback. He redshirted. He's got speed. He's got a great arm. I think the program's going to be in good shape with him. That's just my opinion.
Nick Athen, our guest, our good friend from ChiefsBlitz.com, joining us on the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream here on this Monday morning. So you said it was a great Monday because all the right teams lost. I'm guessing that means, the Bills, of course, the Eagles lose as well. Which loss was, I think I know the answers, but which loss was more surprising?
I think the Patriots loss was a little bit more surprising just because, they had a terrific game a week ago. They go into Buffalo. We still don't know what Drake May is yet. The Stephon Diggs experiment, we still don't know what that was, but we found out last night. I mean, the best quarterback won the game. The best team won the game. Offense, defense. That defensive stand by the Patriots, when the Bills were driving, those two plays and the pressure they got on him, on Josh Allen, decided the game, and then Diggs just played out of his mind. I think for the Broncos, I heard your comment. I'm not sure they can get to 8-2. I mean, to put this team in a category that they're going to win 5 or 6 straight, I'm sorry. I just don't see it. It's too difficult. I mean, it was 18 to whatever the final score was. It was a 4-point win in a hostile environment, and they just played a great fourth quarter. They didn't do much the first 3 quarters, and then the Eagles kind of let up. They probably thought they couldn't come back. And then, cojones to the head coach for going for 2. That just set the tone. And that was a program builder. I mean, that was a championship moment for Sean Payton. And he goes out there and says, I don't care, you're the Eagles, I'm on the road. I could be down a point or up 1, and I'm just going to go for it. And listen, I said it before, I really like Bo Nix. I'm not sure he's quite there yet, but that's going to be a great game when they play the Chiefs. The Chiefs will be coming off a bye week. I think the Broncos are playing a Thursday night game, so they get a little extra time too prior to that. But the Broncos win wasn't as surprising as I thought the Patriots over the Bills.
Okay, I have to ask this. I was thinking about this question last night. I want to make sure I get my – okay, so here we go. Andy Reid decides to retire at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick your next coach. Doesn't matter. You get to pick. Is it Mike Vrabel? Is it Dan Campbell? Or is it somebody else?
It's Cliff Kingsbury.
Cliff Kingsbury. There you go.
Yeah, I think Cliff is probably best suited to take the Patrick Mahomes continual rise into the greatest quarterback of all time. He obviously had a failed experiment with the Cardinals as the head coach, made a lot of money, but that organization's such a mess. And as we saw yesterday on the sidelines with Jonathan, whatever his last name is, the head coach, the way he berated his running back.
Gannon, I think it's Gannon.
Yeah, Jonathan Gannon. The way he berated his running back who made that mistake. You don't do that. You don't do that on the sidelines. You keep that in the locker room. I thought it was very unprofessional. But for me, listen, I think Matt Nagy's not going to be the heir apparent. I think Steve Spagnuolo has a chance, but I think Steve's going to get a head coaching job elsewhere at the end of the season. I really do. But Cliff Kingsbury, to me, makes the most sense. I think he'll be terrific. He'll hire a really good defensive coordinator if Spags decides to stay. I think he's really the only guy that can elevate this offense. But as far as Andy Reid goes, I think the Chiefs, if they win tonight, they got a really good chance, I think, to get back to the Super Bowl. I think this kind of sets the tone and resets the team. But I think that Andy Reid probably is not going to go out until he has passed Bill Belichick and Don Shula for the most wins all time. And that I did the math last week. So he's going to have to do 3 seasons and average, including playoffs, 15 wins, and he's there. And then he and Tammy are going to play with the grandkids. Andy will have a say in who the head coach is. That's probably in his contract when you're making $20 million a year. He won't abandon the franchise. But if I was betting today, if he suddenly decides to retire, I think Cliff Kingsbury makes the most sense. Now, I'll throw a dark horse out there. You ready? John Gruden. Would I love that? I would love to see Chucky on the Chiefs sidelines. This team will have an Andy Reid, Gunther Cunningham, Hank Stram mentality in the side of John Gruden inside him. His lawsuit's going forward in Vegas against the Raiders, so it should be interesting.
Nick Athen, our guest. I bring that question up because I was thinking about it last night after watching the Patriots take down the Bills and seeing Vrabel, give high fives and hugs to all his players coming into the tunnel. And that's something like, you'd see Dan Campbell doing. I mean, how would you not love to play for guys like that? Those guys, they're unbelievable. I mean, that win for the Patriots last night was something to behold. And I guess I wrote off Drake May maybe a little bit too early. He showed me something last night. That play where he made that throw where he was getting pulled down to the ground, that was amazing.
That was Patrick Mahomes-esque. He kept his knee off the ground. And he did a little sidearm shovel, and Stephon Diggs is the most. I don't know. I guess he's the modern day Terrell Owens. You just don't know what personality you're going to get. You don't know what kind of play you're going to get. But in the big moments, I mean, he just stepped up. And I thought that win last night. I had this conversation with a buddy of mine who works at Channel 41, and he said, I said the Bills, man. I looked at their schedule. I mean, who are they going to lose to? And then he goes, watch out for the Patriots. The Patriots have the kind of defense that's going to give Josh Allen fits. And, I mean, the Bills are flawed. They can't generate a pass rush with 4 guys. What did they blitz? 75% of the snaps last night, even in run situations, they were blitzing because they don't have the front 4. Josh Allen, he took a beating last night. I mean, he got hit. And you could tell that he was not 100% in that game after a couple of those hits. So, despite the fact that the officiating crew really favored Buffalo and did everything it could, the Patriots went out. But the Vrabel, to me, I mean, obviously the perfect hire. He's never leaving New England. The Kraft family would never let him go. And the Titans obviously made a huge mistake in letting him go.
Nick Athen is our guest here on the Morning Blitz. I have to ask a question because I was watching, because it was the only game on, I was watching the Lions and the Bengals. And does Cincinnati not have any other better idea behind Joe Burrow? I mean, nothing against Browning, but that guy threw more. And the funny thing is, I only watched like the first, for 2.5 quarters. And so then in the final 2 quarters, he goes out and throws 3 touchdown passes, and it makes me feel less bad about it. But I was like, they don't have anybody better. This guy has no touchdown passes and 3 picks, and he had how many picks early? I mean, the guy has more picks than he does touchdowns at this point in time in the season, filling in for Joe Burrow. There's nobody else out there that can take that spot.
The problem is there's other guys out there that can do it. You can go make a deal for Kirk Cousins. The problem is Bengals ownership isn't going to spend the money. And why would you give up, why? I mean, Browning played really good last year or the year before. And I thought, he's a decent backup, but he's in over his head because their offensive line is terrible. I mean, who all thought Orlando Brown Jr. was a good left tackle? Raise your hand. I mean, nobody in this room, nobody listening. He was terrible. He had the worst footwork of any left tackle, but he was a Pro Bowler, so go figure. I think if they're smart, they should trade all of their assets and completely rebuild for Joe Burrow when he comes back. There's no reason for him to play this year. They have no chance to make the playoffs. Their defense was put in so many difficult situations yesterday. And offensively, if he doesn't do all those turnovers, in the first 3 quarters, then it's a game. And he's just not a good quarterback, and ownership will never spend the money.
Who are they? Who's an asset that they're willing to part with? I mean, or they should part with. They're not going to part with Jamar Chase. You thinking like T. Higgins or
I
what?
think T. Higgins, because basically T. Higgins' deal is a 1-year deal. It's all fluffed with all that other nonsense in there in the contract, but they can get out of it after this year. Hendrickson, the same thing.
Hendrickson, yeah.
I mean, I think they have some tradable assets, but it's a misguided franchise. I mean, I'm shocked that ownership put up the money, because remember, when you sign a player to a $150, $125 million contract, you have to put that money in escrow, which means it's not on your books anymore. You can't touch that money. You can't use it for anything else. And the only reason the Bengals signed those 3 is because they want a new stadium, and they wanted to show the fans, hey, I'm willing to invest. The second that stadium deal is announced, trade back to a reasonable budget. They won't spend the money.
Nick Athen, our guest from Chiefs Blitz, talking the NFL here on this Monday. We'll get to the Chiefs in just a second. I got a couple more for you. Thoughts on the Chargers on another loss for them after that hot start? They've kind of faded a little bit. So what are your thoughts on the Harbaugh boys?
They're cooked. I mean, the Chargers are cooked. They lost Hampton. He's going to be out probably 2 to 4 to maybe 6 weeks with an ankle injury. Beckham, their guard, was hurt again. They've lost, obviously the 2 starting tackles. Their offensive line is disastrous. Because of injuries. And listen, the Chiefs had gone through that period too. But, Justin Herbert against good teams, he's mixed. He has good games and bad games. But right now they're overmatched. Listen, you mentioned Andy Reid retiring. If Jim Harbaugh was available, I hire him in a heartbeat. Period.
He's the best football coach of the current time right now. Yes, there's
current
no doubt.
time. John Harbaugh. 18 years now in Baltimore. It's probably time for a change. It's probably time for them to just blow up that whole franchise. Lamar Jackson is not that guy. Great, if you play fantasy football, he's your man. You draft him in the first round. You get all those points. And he's just a pinball machine when it comes to the regular season, but he can't win in the postseason. So I think Baltimore's going to have to blow it up. They've got so many injuries. If I'm ownership, the first thing I'm doing is I am completely gutting my medical and training staff, because it's unheard of that you have they've got 12 or 14 injuries to like 8 of those are starters. What are they doing over there? How are they preparing these guys to play? All that needs to be blown up, I think.
Okay, a couple more for here. We'll start with on the Chiefs, but this first one coming in from a texter. I appreciate the texters when they text in questions. This texter would like to know, I think the Chiefs should trade for Breece Hall.
I think that's Breece Hall made a pretty interesting comment after that loss yesterday. He goes, my time is running out, to define who and what I am. It's my understanding that the Chiefs, if there's an injury at running back, I think Breece Hall's the guy they go after. He's the best fit. Somebody told me he's from the Kansas City area. I'll have to look it up. I'm not really sure about that one.
I think he's from Wichita.
Wichita, that's right. So I think for Breece Hall, if he joins the Chiefs and you get Rashee Rice back and Xavier Worthy can stay healthy and they don't have any significant injuries on the offensive line, Chiefs are running the table. That's how important he is. Now, I'm not sold on Isaiah Pacheco. I'm just not. I never will be. He doesn't have the vision. He doesn't have I call it court awareness, to where he's missed on 2 touchdowns, and all he has to do is bounce outside. There's nobody there. He follows his blocker, and he just doesn't have the vision to cut back. Kareem Hunt doesn't have the speed anymore. Elijah Mitchell hasn't seen the field yet. And then you've got the rookie, Brashard Smith, who's I think the future. You put Hall and Smith as a 1-2 combination, and you got Kareem Hunt to do the muscle, that Chiefs running game is going to be pretty exciting. So I would say it's a better than 50-50 chance that the Chiefs add a running back before the trade deadline, I would say Breece Hall would be number one. Now he's a free agent at the end of the year. He's got his salary. The Jets would have to eat some of the salary to make this move. But I mean, the Jets are winless, correct? They have just.
I think they have one win. I don't know.
They have a horrible organization.
It's not a good record.
You know, give me him and bring back Asa Pohl, the tackle that they let go. The only team that claimed him was, of course, the Jets. The Chiefs were really upset that happened, and they want him back. So maybe they make some sort of deal. Maybe they trade Elijah Mitchell to the Jets, and he gets an opportunity to maybe get a free agent contract next year.
By the way, you were right. 0-5. So I was wrong. You were right. 0-5 for the Jets. Okay, tonight Jacksonville and Kansas City. Does this Jags defense cause some problems tonight for the Chiefs offense?
I think they're going to be without. Was it Walker? Their defensive their defensive pass rusher. Yeah, who he had surgery on his wrist. He's got a cast on. He says he's going to try and play.
Questionable Trayvon Walker. Yes,
Trayvon Walker. Yeah, Trayvon Walker has been a beast. He's matured. He's grown up. I think Liam Cohen's done a terrific job. Getting in his grill and saying you can be dominant. You're a former first round pick. You should be out there. Missing him is going to be key. The problem with the Jaguars defense is they rely a lot on turnovers. I think they lead the league in turnovers. They played some teams that have made a lot of mistakes. The Chiefs aren't going to make those mistakes. The Chiefs may turn the ball over maybe once, worst case scenario twice, but not the 3 or 4 times and give up the really big sack. If Walker's not playing, that changes their defense completely. So I think defensively, the Jaguars are a good bunch, but if Worthy plays tonight, and I expect that he will, and he has 3/4 of the game that he had against the Ravens, whose defense I think is still better despite all the injuries than the Jaguars, that I think you can reasonably expect that Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to put up 28, 30-plus points against Jacksonville.
Should be interesting. It's all tonight on Monday Night Football. Yep. He is Nick Athen from ChiefsBlitz.com. Nick, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We'll do it again next week.
All right. See you next Monday, Ross. Have a good one.
Once again, there is Nick Athen, our good friend from Chiefs Blitz, joining us on the Pearl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Appreciate him tuning in. All right, let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show with the walk-off and some final notes. That's next here on the Morning Blitz.
We celebrate 4-H's 123-year history. What makes it so influential? My name is James Marquardt, and after a decade of being involved in 4-H, I believe that the people are the reason why 4-H is so beneficial. Whether it be the local extension agent, the community members, or the project leaders, it is the people that make 4-H worthwhile. So if you see someone who is a 4-H volunteer this week, thank them for the time that they have invested into this great organization.
This fall, Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware has everything you could need. Keep your lawn strong with Ultimate Winterizer, the best defense before the frost. Warm up your evenings and create memories with the fire pit. Or bring home the flavor with a great selection of grills and smokers from brands like Traeger, Blackstone, Green Egg, and more. And right now, the lumber prices are low and so are temperatures, making it the best season to tackle those outdoor projects. It's Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
Bigger and better, and it's back this Saturday, the annual Girls' Day out in Oakley, located in the entire Western Vista complex, both sides there. The Logan County 4-H building is full of vendors, outside vendors. In fact, 23,000 square foot of vendors, over 100 of them. Free admission this Saturday. The duck hunt is back. Concessions available. There'll be food trucks. The Tri-County Amusement Train will shuttle shoppers building to building. It's this Saturday, and it's free, 10 to 3 o'clock at the Western Vista complex and Logan County 4-H building in Oakley.
Hello, folks. This is Nathan Lennon with Land of Legacy Real Estate. We are very excited about the recent strength of the land market and invite you to check out our website at www.land2legacy.com, where we are proud to represent some of the best properties across the great state of Kansas and attracting buyers all across the country. We understand the importance of details in your land transaction, and if you're interested in selling, we invite you to give us a call at 785-340-5331 to learn about a marketing strategy tailored to best suit you. Land of Legacy Real Estate, where people are our passion.
Whether it's touchdowns, home runs, or buzzer beaters, we've got you covered. It's the Morning Blitz.
All right, just a couple minutes left to go in the program today. Thanks again to Nick Athen. Always great to have him on the program. Really appreciate him spending some time with me here today. Once again, no Connor Schuh today, obviously, and then tomorrow he'll be back on Wednesday with us. As we wrap up the show, I did not get to high school football, and we'll get to that here in just a second. We'll touch on some college football as well real quickly, but in the leftovers, don't have a lot of time, just a minute or two. But, you know, the high school football week 5, it was rough for area teams. It was just a rough weekend. Colby losing to Holcomb 53-24, somewhat expected. Holcomb's really good. Goodland losing at Ulysses 26-12. The Cowboys had 3 more turnovers, gave up 195 rushing yards. You can't give up that many rushing yards, and you can't have a total of 8 turnovers with the last 2 games. It's hard to win football games. That was a game I think Goodland probably could have won if they could have played up to their potential, and it just didn't happen. And that's a loss that's going to sting, I would think, for a while, because that's a game that we probably could have had. Once again, I was not there. I did not see it, but I think that's a game that you probably could have had if you were Goodland. You could have played up to your potential, and turnovers really hurt them, and not being able to stop the run certainly hurt the Cowboys. Some other scores. Golden Plains losing at Northern Valley 61-38. Tri-Plains Brewster lost at Western Plains 69-41. Oakley routed by Plainville on homecoming night 56-13. Oakley had 3 turnovers, just 144 total yards of offense. A tough night offensively for the Plainsmen. Rollins County shut out Stockton 56-0. They ran for 254 and 6 touchdowns. They had a 111 and 3 touchdowns from their star player, Dominic Paz, who also had an interception, by the way. Quinter lost in a high-scoring game to La Crosse, 58-44. Decatur Community with a big win over Hoxie, 24-12. A big win there for the Red Devils, and a very low-scoring game. Weskin with a blowout win over Cheylin, 64-0. Wallace County 5-0, 58-8 win over Greeley County. St. Francis was handed a loss by Hill City. The Ringnecks, one of the better teams in all of Western Kansas. They had 524 total yards to the Ringnecks over the Indians, and then Wheatland Grinnell falling to Tesket 46-0. We talked about Kansas State. We mentioned KU with Nick Athen. The Jayhawks rallied from a 14-0 deficit to shut out the Knights in the second half. They win 27-20 down there in Orlando. Nebraska rallied to pass Michigan State 38-27. The main thing is the spread was 11.5 for the Nebraska-Michigan State game. How does Vegas know this? It was an 11-point win for Nebraska. It's just nuts. And it was a crazy game, too. Had a block punt for a touchdown, 3 touchdowns for Emmett Johnson. Had a couple interceptions. There were some great punt returns. The wind played a huge factor. I mean, whoever seemed to go into the wind couldn't do anything. Had the wind, it was much more successful. It's a crazy game. And then Colorado blew another early lead. They led down against TCU, but lose 35-21. Caden Salter throws for 217, 2 touchdowns, but had 3 picks. Buffalo's had 4 turnovers. Hard to win. Like we said, with like Goodland and Oakley, it's hard to win when you have a lot of turnovers. You got to protect the football. And, Coach Prime I don't know what he's thinking right now, but I know he made some comments in the postgame about, is there a lot of flies around here? Because we stink. That's what he said. Really, really rough there for Coach Prime. That is for sure. All right, we got to get to the walk-off.
And back lifts his ball deep to right. How about a walk-off Grady? Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime. Mahomes swings it. It's there. Hardman. Jackpot. Kansas City.
All right. Not a whole lot going on today, but I shouldn't say not numerous things, but some big things happening today in local sports. You've got Wheatland Grinnell hosting a triangular with Weskin and Dighton for some volleyball. Rollins County and Oakley golf teams heading to Hayes TMP for their invites. And 2 big GWAC events happening today. You've got GWAC Golf, their tournament happening at Buffalo Dunes. And the GWAC Tennis League tournament is being played today. That is always in Scott City. So Goodland and Colby athletes will be heading down south, whether it's to Garden or to Scott for tennis or golf today. So best of luck to all area athletes. And, of course, don't forget tonight, the Kansas City Chiefs play tonight on Monday Night Football against the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Kickoff set for 7:15 Central, 6:15 Mountain Time. Listen in on 100.3. The Ride Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites as of this morning. Thanks to Nick Athen. Thanks to you for sticking with me here through the show. We'll be back tomorrow in the comfy confines of the Morning Blitz KKCI studios. We will talk to you then. Have a great Monday.